Episode number 99 of the KH-Vids Podcast. This week we're going to be talking about nothing. We're going to be talking about user-submitted questions and table topics. It's like Seinfeld, except of the podcast world. So we're going to be answering questions because there's really just nothing going on in gaming right now. So to remedy that, please do submit topic suggestions to us right now. But yes, so with us...
At least we have Gamescom coming up in like a week.
Oh, great. So with us today, you have your usual hosts of myself, Misty.
And me, LibreGKD.
And me, Killaxon.
As our staff guest, we have...
Plums.
And finally, as our member guest, we have...
Al, I'm back.
Yay!
They let me back for some reason.
Woo!
They'll regret it soon, I'm sure.
I don't know. It depends on how funny your answers to our questions are. Usually, we go through Kingdom Hearts news and updates about now. The only thing really of note is that the second anniversary of Kingdom Hearts Key was a couple days ago. Yay! Unchained Key will be out sometime.
This is the excitement of people who have never played this before because we weren't able to play it.
That is just like the
there
most,
was some
like,
cool...
I'm not sure if I should be excited about this, you know, like, yeah!
Whew.
Dot question mark.
There was some cool art for it, though, with Sora wearing Roxas's outfit and Roxas wearing Sora's outfit, and everybody just kind of did this weird outfit switch thing.
It was very
I
cute.
liked that. Yeah.
It was cute. I'm a little upset that they didn't go all the way and have them gender swap too, but
That would be cool.
maybe for the third anniversary.
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Third anniversary, the first anniversary of Unchained.
But, like, would you expect anything else out of the Kingdom Hearts series?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so...
No. Then it should be like the anniversary of like the one obscure thing that nobody cares about.
Like that VCast game.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
Kingdom Hearts
These have
Mobile.
Yes. It should be the anniversary of the second update of that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's celebrate it. Except that was like ages ago, like
Yeah, how
literally
old is
eons
that game?
It's old. If it came
It
out
is
on
really old.
VCast, and I'm pretty sure it came out before Kingdom Hearts 2. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
it had to be like
or just
2003,
like right
2004.
after it.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think it was right after it.
We have the internet at our fingertips.
Yeah, we do.
Initial
That's true.
release 2008. Ha!
What?
Oh wow.
What?
That's a lot more recent.
Yeah. It feels like a lot more time has passed.
For the Docomomo Prime Series P-01A cell phone.
Yeah, so pull those out of your back pocket and get downloading Kingdom Hearts VCast.
Was it a flip phone or something?
Oh wait, no, this is Kingdom Hearts Mobile. Never mind. Sorry.
Oh.
No, yeah, Kingdom Hearts Mobile. Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts
Was that on
VCast.
VCast though?
Yes. No, it wasn't. Kingdom Hearts Mobile was Japan only. That's where the like cute little like Kingdom Hearts cheese style first started. But VCast, that was a much longer time ago.
Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
2004. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That sounds right. I was 9 years old.
Verizon Wireless.
I was like
VCast.
5. No,
Oh
6.
boy.
Well, if you're 9, I must have been. I don't
11.
know. 2004. That's,
You're 2 years
You
older
must
than
have been
me?
2004.
I'm really bad at my age.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say.
How do I math?
So I was 11.
All right, but this week on the KH-Vids Podcast, like I said, we're going to be answering questions. So to submit a user-submitted question to the KH-Vids Podcast, all you have to do is fill out the forum links with every episode of the podcast, or send an email to podcast@KH-Vids.net. The questions can be directed towards hosts in particular, or the group in general, and we're going to be mixing these with table topics, which, if you haven't listened to the podcast, I don't know, recently or in the very distant past. Table Topics is a condescending gift that my stepmom gave to me that just has weird questions on little pieces of paper, and we ask them, and it's generally hilarious. So, the first question I'm going to ask is from Graxy, and I'm really glad that we have Plums here today for it. He asks, are blue raspberries real? And if not, does that mean admins are also not real, since they are also blue?
I'm not sure the existence of one makes the other one not real.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm real. Like, there's that whole, like, I think, therefore I am Descartes thing, but
so you're not solipsist, then?
What's that?
Solipsism.
Oh, no,
That's
no,
what
no.
I think
I'm not nearly
things.
that arrogant for that. Not quite yet.
I am the only truth in this world.
Wasn't the nickname for admins blueberries?
Yeah.
So we haven't really specified which berry, so...
I really love looking up blue raspberry. They actually give you a picture of blue raspberries, despite the fact they don't exist.
Isn't that like a flavor of, like,
it is
Jolly
a flavor.
Ranchers or something?
Yeah, it's just the flavoring, but Google Images, I guess, have blue raspberry-looking things.
I mean, you can very easily Photoshop a raspberry to be blue.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, but I just find it really funny
But
that
why?
there's so many of them.
Why do people do the things that they do?
I was gonna say, like, these look like they exist because there's a picture of it. Like, who would ever lie on the internet? You know?
The internet is so trustworthy.
I know.
The thing is, there's like, I feel like it's a line. So sometimes you're like, okay, well, this is obviously bollocks. But then there's the sort of, well, this looks believable enough, but I'm not sure about it.
We talked about lying on last week's episode.
Yeah, we
Saying
did.
a lot about each other.
We talked about how we're compulsive liars, basically.
Yes.
Okay.
So you should trust us as people from the internet.
Yeah, no. since you just said, like, we are compulsive liars, and you should trust us in two sentences, I'm just gonna go with nah.
It's like one of those, like, prisoner's dilemma thing, though. Like, am I lying when I say that I'm a compulsive liar? Do they cancel each other out?
Exactly. Like,
Raising the real questions here on the KH-Vids Podcast. I'm so excited that we get to do a questions podcast because it really is a special opportunity for us to learn about each other and really to learn about ourselves a little bit, I think.
I sometimes wonder if we know too much about each other.
Oh, we definitely do.
Yeah,
so the next question I'm going to ask is
true.
table topics, and it is, what do you admire most about your parents?
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I can actually answer that one.
Are you adopted?
No, unlike you guys, apparently I just don't have awful parents.
Apparently. Well, it's admire. You can admire your parents.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, well, you guys can't think of something? I'm surprised. Like, for me, I admire their, like, for Dad, it would certainly be the way he's managed to build up and be amazingly successful, despite moving to England from France, not knowing any English, and still managed to, get a pretty good job out of it.
That's a feat, yeah. And your mother?
And my mum, it would be her absolute determination through a whole bunch of shit, which I'm not going to talk about.
Really? You don't want to discuss your deep personal struggles with us on the KH-Vids Podcast?
All these people on the internet that watch the KH-Vids Podcast.
Somehow I think, no, I'll pass. It's not even my secrets. Talk about your own secrets is one thing, but yes, here's the dark secret of somebody else. Yes, let's reveal that for just about anybody to hear.
All right, somebody else? Okay, I'll go. My mom is a single mom, and single moms basically deserve to be worshipped, like, 24/7, in my opinion. And if that's not your opinion, then, like, maybe you don't talk to me. So she's just incredible because, she has 3 children, and she raised us all on her own, and worked to keep us fed and everything, and keep us in our house, and a lot of really great things. And I just admire her for being a fighter. And I admire her parental style, too, really, because she was very strict with us when we were kids, but that kind of had the advantage of her never really needing to parent us again. After, like, age 6 or 7, we just kind of had our values, and we were just good children. So I like that, and I like that it never needs to be this whole, like, I don't know. I can't get into it without, like, talking about, like, deep personal issues, but, just... We never need to have, like, sit-down family conversations and, like, deep parental moments, like, on Full House. And maybe I'm missing out on that, but I would rather not have that in general. She, like, knows us, she trusts us, and I like that about her. I think that she's pretty great, even though we fight sometimes.
And you only fight because you care.
Yeah, of course. And that's normal. It would be weird if we didn't fight.
I know.
I'm not gonna answer this right.
I guess I'm just thinking about it right now, and
making it awkward.
I guess pretty much everything Cassie said, and also my mom is pretty stubborn, which has also passed down to me. So the few times we have fought, it's gotten pretty intense. But
yeah,
I worry about that though. Like, as somebody who may have children one day, possibly, maybe, I hold grudges. Like, if I'm mad at somebody, I don't talk to them for, like, days, and that would be a very irresponsible thing to do as a parent. But
it'll be an exercise in growth, won't it?
Yes, yeah, a big one. You can keep going if you want, Alex.
Oh, no, that's okay.
That's done.
Oh, we have two Alex. Sorry, that's confusing.
Oh my god, that's gonna be confusing. What is with these people stating my name? Gosh, you guys.
How about you, Cal? How about your parents?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be like that one asshole, so I'm gonna try to think of something.
Well, your mom is a precious sweetheart, judging by her tweets.
Yeah, for you guys, maybe. Not for me. But I think what I admire, though, is how, like, supportive she is of my sister, at any rate, because my sister does a lot of dance, and she does a lot of dance competitions, and that's a lot of work for them to travel to competitions and then stay backstage and, like, do switches between makeup and costume and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've seen dance moms.
Yeah. I think that's what, like, there's really, like, a lot of dedication there, and so I can admire her for that, and I'm not gonna get into my dad either, so.
This really is just a stellar paternal relationship podcast that we have going here.
Yeah, as we say that, like a lot what you both Plums and you, Cass, have said about your mom is kind of similar feelings for mine. I will say that about my dad, though, is he's one of the, like, kindest people that I know, and sometimes to his detriment, considering some stuff that has happened that I'm not going to get into. But, like, I do really admire that about him, that he always is, like, trying to make sure people are happy and trying to make sure everybody is, like, good and okay, and just a bunch of nice, wonderful things like that. But,
aww.
Yeah.
Finally, we have, like, a well-adjusted
yes.
answer.
Yes.
Is this the podcast of... I'm not going to get into this.
Well, I mean, for this particular question.
See, but I like asking the biting personal question.
Says the person who also won't go into.
Well, you know, what do you want to hear?
Yeah. I think there's like a difference between, like, biting personal questions about yourself and, like, other people in your family.
That's true.
When it gets down to it.
Yeah. That's true. Okay, so the next question switches to a Kingdom Hearts note, and it is from Quilligan. He asks, thoughts, and I think you'll like this one, Nick, thoughts on changing the main trio from Sora, Riku, and Kairi?
I have been very adamant on saying, yes, try that.
Nick has gone on paper as saying Birth by Sleep is the best Kingdom Hearts game because it's not about Sora. It's nothing against Sora in particular, because I think Sora is okay. There's a few things about his character that really irk me, but it's not to the point where I think that, oh my god, I can't play a game with him as the main character. But I do think it would be interesting to travel with another trio of people, which, I mean, I don't think they're going to do that, considering stuff that has been said about the series even after Kingdom Hearts 3 is finished and all. I just think that in the Kingdom Hearts series, where there are so few, like, original characters, considering the game is a mashup for Disney and Square, right,
that I think introducing another trio of people, or just a bunch of new characters in general, would do a lot to make Kingdom Hearts kind of it's not more its own. Not saying that it isn't its own thing now, but I do think having some more original stuff in it would be interesting.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree that Birth by Sleep was made more interesting because we had the new original characters. Because it felt kind of fresh, you know?
Yeah, because you had the new original... you had, the Aqua Ven Terror thing, and then also Ericus and Xehanort and Vanitas, and just you had all this other new stuff kind of going on.
Yeah, so I think that we all kind of would agree that needs to happen at some point. Not that we don't love Sora, and I would like to see games still follow Sora, but I would like to see more new characters as well, especially with the Xehanort saga ending. But I think that Kingdom Hearts is obsessed with that idea of, like, trios. We have a lot of trios across the games.
Can we not just... We can't get a duo or a lone wolf or...
Well, I mean, it's interesting, too, because you can look at, like, trios within trios. Because, like, of course, we have the trio being, like, Sora, Riku, and Kairi, but then we also have, like, Sora, Donald, and Goofy going from there. And, I mean, Kairi is always, like, sleeping or resting on the islands. But then Riku kind of does the lone wolf thing. Sometimes he teams up with Mickey. So I do think that they vary it a little bit and do give you, like, combinations. But there is still always that, like, core trio, I think, going back. And that idea of, like, trinities in the KH series, which I like. So if they did give us, like, a fresh new set of characters, I would like it to be a trio. Because also that... it gives you a lot of opportunities for character dynamics, and that's really what I think that Kingdom Hearts 1 was built off of, seeing the relationship between, like, Sora and Riku to Kairi, and, like, Kairi to Sora, and just building on that. So trios give you that opportunity, and I like that.
And,
I feel like, though... Oh, sorry, Al.
You go first, Cal.
Oh, I was gonna say that I feel like that the Kingdom Hearts fandom just kind of, I don't know, like, makes more trios as we go. Because there's some that aren't, like, really obvious that I've seen anyway. Like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people don't really think of Mickey, Donald, Goofy a lot because Mickey isn't really there with them, but people put that as a trio. And then there's also, like, I don't know if they call it the Forgotten Trio or not, but that's like Naminé, Vanitas, and the Riku replica, which is kind of weird. So I feel like, I don't know, it's not all Kingdom Hearts' fault.
I think that's like uniting common interests, or maybe not interests, but like themes across these characters. And like, of course, looking for links between characters is important, but I wouldn't call it, like you're saying, like a formal trio that they made, like Sora, Riku, and Kairi, or like Axel, Roxas, and Xion, you know? Yeah. Al, did you have something to add?
I was just gonna say, like, on the sort of idea of creating new characters, I think that when it comes down to it, any sort of fairly long-spanning series is better off making new characters, because it allows you to freshen up things, explore, and indeed probably the best part of it is the ability to sort of take away from sort of the main characters, introduce some new people and some new concepts with them.
Yes.
And go into new areas that you haven't seen before and just experimenting. And I think that's probably the strength of making new original things.
Yeah, which
and also,
the KH series direly needs.
Yeah, I know, because it's such like a hodgepodge of like everything's Square made and Disney things, and like having some just new things thrown in there that's sort of built on its own, if you know what I mean.
Yes, yeah.
Like having stuff that stands apart from Square and Disney, mix them together a little.
Yeah.
Just something new. I think that just sort of helps anything.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. The next question is a table topics, and I like it because a little bit before the podcast we were discussing this topic a little bit, so we'll go more in depth with it. It is, what is the story behind your name?
Let's see. So my name, if you don't know what my name is, it's Nicholas.
Hi, Nicholas.
I have a problem. But that wasn't originally going to be my name. My parents were originally debating with calling me Dominic, which it's sort of close with the Dominic and Nicholas. But what ended up happening with my name is that they ended up just calling me it after like some family member that I don't think I've ever met. Like they were debating between those two names, and they ended up going with Nicholas because of that reason. Though my middle name is kind of the same way, where it's named after like my dad's first uncle or something like that. So I just get named because of other members of my family, I suppose. Not that interesting story.
it's a bit more interesting than mine. Like,
I have no history behind this name.
No, like neither do I. It's just like, so your name's gonna be Alexander, and that was it.
That's
like
it.
the only part of
Like,
my name which has an even the only part of my name which even has like a mildly storied history is like one of my two middle names, Olivier. That's just been carried down by my father, and before that, that's like the only part of my name which has got any story to it.
Yeah, like it's weird because like I've had people in my family that have just changed their name. Like on my dad's side, his mother is like one of 9 children, and like a few of them like went off, and like one of them went off to Vegas and like changed his name completely because it sounded too Italian. Like his name was like his first name was it was I think Emilio, and he ended up changing it to like I don't know, like I want to say Rick.
That's very common, though. My grandpa did that. His name was Pietro when he came, and he just went with Peter because he felt that would make it easier in America. He changed his last name, too, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to be stalked. Yeah.
Yes.
But
that's
my name...
that's the same with it's the same with me.
Yeah.
You know my last name, so it's...
I do.
But yeah, like it's this weird... Like my grandparents on my mother's side did the same thing, except it wasn't Italian, it was from German. And they ended up just changing... They just like took off the last like half of the name, and so it was just like their name is just like half of what it originally used to be.
Yeah, my name is Cassandra Foley. There is actually an interesting story here told by my mother to me, and that's important later on in the story. So my dad wanted to name his top choices for me were Whitney or Sophie.
Whitney.
Yeah.
I mean, Sophie I could see.
Sophie is actually my half-sister's name, so he just, recycled it for the next kid that he popped out. But,
No.
But my mother was not happy with those choices, and my mother is very stubborn. And so she liked Cassandra. She didn't, pick the name for any particular reason, but she's a fan of Jane Austen, and I'm a fan of Jane Austen, and Jane Austen's beloved sister is named Cassandra. So we just kind of tell each other that is the reason that she selected Cassandra. But, so I asked my mom, so when did you, decide with Dad, we're going with my choice? And she said, well, he wasn't around when the doctor came with the forms, so I won. And then she laughed really hard and evilly for a minute straight. And I think that says a lot about the future of my parents' marriage. Or lack thereof. So
that's a pretty good story, though.
Yeah. So my name is Cassandra. I've gone by Cassie my entire life. Nobody calls me Cassandra except my mom when she's mad at me.
I should start calling you Cassandra just because.
Yeah, it's weird though because a few people call me Cass, and Cass has always been something that I've been called in real life only by people that know me very well, and it's always been a select few. But I feel on the internet, more people call me Cass than they call me Cassie. And it's strange. So I always notice when somebody calls me Cass. And I mean, I like it. So, my boyfriend calls me Cass and I enjoy that. So it's I feel like it's a term that people just use when they know me better. So it's interesting for me to chart, this is the first time that they called me Cass. And, weird things like that.
Yeah, I think I switch off between the two.
That's what some people do for no particular reason. But yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I just feel like calling you Cass. Yeah. Other times Cassie.
Yeah, that me.
They're both short, so...
Yeah. So Cal or Alex, go for it.
Mine's pretty sort of a boring-ish story too, but I mean, I think it's kind of funny because basically what happened was I don't know why, but my dad thought that I was going to be a boy, and I guess they just rode on that idea because they didn't want to find out. And so the only name that they had really picked out was Coulson. And then when they thought that they had a couple more, I was 3 months early or maybe more than that, so they thought that they had time. They didn't. And so I guess my mom liked Caitlin, and so she wanted something that wasn't Caitlin because I guess everybody was naming their kid Caitlin back then or something. So then she chose Kaylin instead. And I mean, I like it. It's all right, but
alright.
All my friends have like cool name stories, and I'm just like, well, my parents thought I was a boy, so they just slapped something together last minute, you know.
I don't understand the concept of that though. Not wanting to, because that's like a thing that people do. They don't want to know like the sex of their child, and like I get some people do it as like, oh, throwback to the 50s when we couldn't tell you, and it was a surprise when they popped out. But like, I would want to know.
Yeah, me too.
I really would want to know. If you guys watch Gilmore Girls, it's a thing that one of the characters... Thank you, Cal. It's a great show. One of the characters... Melissa McCarthy, actually, Suki, in the show, she's having a baby, and her husband doesn't want to know the sex of the baby, but she does. So she finds out, and, you know, she buys, like, clothes and everything, which, by the way, color-coding your baby's gender is fucking absurd. But she buys all this stuff and everything, and she gets prepared. But, like, I just... Why would you not want to know? Immediately.
It's kind of funny because this is sort of off topic, but earlier in the fairy tale roleplay chat, we were talking about color coding kids and stuff because somebody saw Plums looking at the fairy tale thread, and somebody was just like, wait, is Plums a girl? And I was just like, no. And I was just like, why do we have to gender names, guys? And then I went into this giant rant about like color coding children, and it was something. But
well, I always thought the original Plums is a girl thing came because a lot of I don't know if you intended this, Plums, but there were a lot of members named after fruit at one point. Like, I think there was orange, of course, and there was strawberry, and I think somebody was apples for a little while, and I think they were all women, so I think Plums just got lumped in with them. But I don't know. I don't know. I've been mistaken for a guy on the internet, though, and, like, my username is Misty.
I mean...
I feel it's so weird, too, because, like, Calaxin, I mean, I guess it could be, like, a guy...
That sounds effeminate.
I mean, I don't know. It's just... I had my profile picture as, I think, my mom, when we went on Disney cruises, she would make these shirts, and one of the icons she had was, like, basically, like, a cartoon character that looked like me with, like, Mickey ears on it, and that was my profile picture for a while, so I was kind of confused as to why people were thinking that, but I mean, I guess it's just, I don't know, something that happens. That doesn't tend to happen a lot anymore when people are assuming my gender, and maybe it's just because the profiles show it now on KH-V. I don't think on the other site that we were on it did, so
no,
I don't know.
Like, I always assumed you were a girl, but the one thing I did used to think is that you and Jadaxon were the same person.
A lot of people thought it was alt accounts, and I think a couple in the roleplay chat anyway, and in the roleplay we have twin boys, and it's Swordsman John and I think Garrett on KH-V, and I think for a while people were thinking that they were alt accounts, and I was just waiting for the day that like somebody brought it up as like problem with alt accounts with both of them, and I would have to be like, no guys, they're actually brothers, you know. I was waiting for that day because I got paranoid about that a little, but anyway.
Alex, what is the story behind your name?
Well, my full name is Alexander, and it's my dad's middle name, and that's pretty much it. Although, for most of my life, I always preferred being called Alex, just because Alexander sounds way too formal for me.
Alexander.
Yep, I'm the same way.
I mean, there are some people I let call me Alexander, but they're, like, really old or really like super important, like presidents of like the school or something,
of the country,
or like handling paperwork for school or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was always a problem for me, like filling out forms. It still is. I gave blood a couple of days ago and I was like filling out forms, and I had to realize like, okay, I can't write Cassie on this, like I have to write Cassandra because I forget.
Yeah, like I usually don't use Nicholas a lot. Yeah, I have that same problem.
But, like, at least your name is, like, somebody sees Nicholas and they just assume, like, oh, he goes by Nick. But, like, I was always that kid that has to be, like, you know, during roll call, like, if you have a nickname, please tell me. And I was very shy as a child, so I was always afraid to say, like, you can call me Cassie, and it was nightmarish.
Yeah,
I had that same problem as well, and I think we had this, like, summer program. It wasn't summer school, but a couple of days before our school started, because, I guess to make us less nervous about high school, we had these courses that would show us how the day went, and absent-mindedly, because I guess all summer I had been hanging out with my online friends, and they all call me Cal or Calaxon, that's what I wrote on my name tag instead of my actual name, and I just remember being, like, really embarrassed for the rest of the day, and, eventually, I mean, I started telling my teachers to call me Cal, because that's just what I'm used to now. Even my mom, it's starting to grow on my mom as well, because I guess she just hears me calling myself that when I don't know, talking to myself
yourself
sometimes.
In the basement.
I know, and I feel like I got that from her, because she'll do it too, and she's just like, oh, I'm just talking to myself, and I'll be like, wow, mom's crazy, and then I'll start talking to myself and be like, wait a second.
I'm crazy too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh boy. Oh man.
I talk to myself a lot.
I think I do.
I do not ever.
I do. I only do it whenever I'm trying to figure out a problem. Because
okay, I guess that's kind of normal.
I need to, like, I do that, and I, like, walk around the house trying to figure out a problem, because I need to get up and walk.
I sometimes have weird, like, exclamations, like, boy howdy or something, like...
Boy howdy.
Like...
We're boy howdy, partner.
I mean, not quite like that, but, like, I mean, this is maybe a TMI. One day, it was, like, 3 a.m., and, I was sitting in my computer chair, feeling a little rumbly in my tumbly, and wondering why that was, and, I mean, without getting too graphic, I decided to check if I was menstruating, and realized I was, and I just sat there like, oh boy, and, like, obviously walked into the bathroom and took care of things, but, like, that's always what pops into my head when people say, do you talk to yourself? So sorry for that if you're easily grossed out. Next question is from Tail, and he asks...
That was a quick transition.
Yeah, so smooth. If you could choose a pre-existing Utada song to be the theme for Kingdom Hearts 3, what would it be?
Easy breezy.
I knew somebody was going to say it.
That song's so bad.
I love it. I love that song.
In the best way, though.
I love it. It's adorable.
It is so bad, but it's so good. It's just...
That was my joke answer, and Hotel Lobby was the other one, which is about prostitutes. So... But, like, actual answers, this is very challenging, because Utada has a lot of great songs. The top suggestions I thought of, because I have the advantage of knowing these questions before they're asked, my top picks were Crimlin Dusk, Beautiful World, Heart Station, Distance or Final Distance, Keep Tryin', and Exodus. Keep Tryin' is a vanity edition there, because I just love it so much.
The problem with Beautiful World for me is that I just associate that with Evangelion.
Was it used in Evangelion?
What?
Was it used in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Ending. It was the ending credits for one of the rebuild ones. I forgot which one, but so, like, I really like that song, but I'd always just associate it with that instead of.
Yeah, I think that Heart Station is probably one of the strongest suggestions too, because it's Kingdom Hearts. Heart is in the title.
And, like, Station name. Of the Heart.
Yeah, exactly.
Things.
Yeah, so that I think that could be a good one. I really love the M-Flow remix of Final Distance, so I feel like that could be good, because they already have, like, this is the intro version, and then they use, like, the regular slow Distance as, like, the ending song, so that's my justification for it being on there. And, like, Distance, that's Kingdom Heartsy. I don't know, I was really into Utada for, like, a year, so that's my nerd answer.
There was, like, a brief, like, 2-3 month period where I was just
nothing but Utada.
Yeah, I was just listening to a bunch of her stuff, and I generally liked what I heard, but nothing right now really stands out to me.
It could be that creepy one where she says in the beginning, like, I want your baby, in, like, a whisper voice. That would be
creepy.
Yeah.
Xehanort talking to
yeah. In the voice of Utada. Yeah.
Hang on a minute. You didn't say that before.
Any other additions to this list?
I like First Love, but I don't think that would fit.
I think First Love is kind of a poopy, slow song.
Wow. That's a difference.
Shut down, Cal.
It's like, Cal, Nobody cares. Your opinion is wrong.
You're allowed to have your opinions. It's just I can disagree with them.
Sometimes very vocally.
Yes. Always very vocally when it's me. Yeah, okay. Table topics. Next up. This is, what's your favorite ride at an amusement park?
Ooh. There's too many.
Yeah.
Oh my, I haven't been to an amusement park in too long.
Well, I think that it can be either like a specific ride, like you can say like Splash Mountain at Disney World, or just like a type of ride. So you can go whichever route is best for you, I think.
Speaking of Disney World, I was always quite fond of Space Mountain.
I think Space Mountain is overrated. I went on Space Mountain for the first time in January. It wasn't that great.
I loved it for the visuals.
It's dark.
I know.
Maybe this is just yeah, go on.
Yeah, the one I went to had like all kinds of like nebulae and stars and all sorts of stuff. I thought it looked really cool.
I'm talking about the one in Florida.
Maybe the one in Florida just sucks.
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
the one in California is great.
See,
oh, okay.
he has my back.
Okay.
The one in California is great. I don't know what you're talking about.
They might have just cheaped out on Space Mountain at Disney World.
It's very possible.
Considering everything else at Disney World, though, that would be weird.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are some jank rides there, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I understand that the Carousel of Progress has a story behind it, but goddamn that song and the Figment ride. The fact that that's still there is frankly horrifying.
What's the Figment ride? I'm interested now.
Oh, well, you can look that up on your own time. But
Okay.
what is everybody's
it's so terrible
favorite
she won't even speak of it.
amusement
The ride
park
not be named.
ride?
First appearance 1983.
Yeah, it's bad.
Wow.
Yeah. There's this festival every year in my town called the Summerfest. Really creative, I know. They used to have this ride called the Gravitron on it, where you went in like a spaceship.
That's like a staple at any fairground.
But they don't have it here anymore. I don't know why they got
smart.
rid of it. But like if nobody's heard of the Gravitron, you stand against a wall and you like stick to it, and that's the whole ride.
Yeah, basically it's spinning so fast that
Yeah.
it's hard to get off the wall because of the gravity.
Yeah, so
I love that one too.
That is fun.
Never been on one of those.
There's another one that's sort of similar, except it's kind of an open air thing.
Yeah, that's what they have now in place of it, but I miss the Gravitron.
Yeah.
To give like a specific shout out, the castle ride at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, fucking amazing. Really good. I mean, the Gringotts ride was really good too, but the castle ride is more of like a thrill ride, and I like that. So that one was really good. And then also, when I went to Universal for the second time this past January. And the first time I went with my sister Rebecca, who is not into roller coasters or thrill rides, so we didn't really go on any of them. But this time I went with both of my sisters, and one of them is a bit of a daredevil when it comes to roller coasters. And so I went on my first, like, grown-up roller coaster with like upside downs and corkscrews and loops and everything. And
you don't know what you were missing.
I really didn't, because now I want to go on more roller coasters because I'm craving that adrenaline feeling. I want it bad.
Yes, they're like, see, this question is difficult for me because there are like 3 theme parks near where I live, because there's Disneyland, which that has kind of great rides in its own respect, but none of them are really thrill rides. Mm-hmm. Then there's Knott's Berry Farm, which
that sounds like it's got some thrill rides on it.
Yes, it is. It does. It's
I was kidding, but okay.
Oh, it actually does. It actually does.
A berry farm, but all right.
I know it's really, this history of that little thing is really weird, because it started off as the name suggests, a berry farm, and then one of the owners of that farm started selling like food out of a stall on the side of the road, and then it just warped into this weird half theme park, half like historic, half like I've been to Knott's Berry Farm on field trips for school in elementary school, because there's like a section of the park that's like an old ghost town, and like they do a lot of like educational like stuff for like the 1800s over there. But like Knott's has a few cool rides. They have like the Accelerator and Montezuma's Revenge and Boomerang, which are like some of my Boomerang in particular is really great, because it's like a regular roller coaster and it goes along this entire track, and then once it gets to the end, it does the entire track again but in reverse.
Okay.
And that's I always kind of found that really fun. Same thing with like Supreme Scream, which is they have these like at pretty much every theme park, but it's just one of those towers where they just bring you up as high as they can and then they drop you. That's really great as well. And then there's also Six Flags Magic Mountain, which that's like probably the king of like thrill rides around here, but that's also like 2 hours away.
See, I've been looking for like an amusement park to go to near me because I want to ride more roller coasters. But the only one
I would
really
imagine there's
close...
some stuff in New Jersey.
Yeah, there's Six Flags in New Jersey, but like I've always heard Six Flags is kind of gross. So I don't know if I want to go there, but like everything else is very far away.
I mean, so. I can't speak for the New Jersey branch.
Yeah, I mean it's also in New Jersey, so like that's just a blanket kind of ew, gross.
Yeah, that is true. But like the one in California, the one in California used to be its own theme park before Six Flags bought it. Okay. But it has some really neat stuff. Like I really like they have this weird one called it just got opened up because it was the Goliath. And then that recently got shut down and they reopened it as like a new Goliath, but I haven't really been on that one. But the Goliath was interesting because if you like, there's a certain part in that ride near the end where it's like a corkscrew, where if you didn't weigh a lot and you like held your hands up during that part, you could black out because of the blood just rushing to your head. And there's a few instances of where people were like, they like saw the tunnel, but they never ended up like blacking out completely, but they were like close to it. But I do like that ride. The other ride that I really like is X2, which the last time I was on X2, I was there for my so my high school had like a grad night thing where the night of graduation you went to some place to kind of, I guess, celebrate. Our grad night was actually at Disneyland, but the day before that they had like another grad night, a grad celebration thing where they went to Six Flags. So the night before my graduation, we went to Six Flags, and the last ride we went on was X2, and we got in line for that like right when the park was closing. So by the time we waited like the hour to get on it and enjoy all of that, like the park was already dead and closed. But that was really great because it's like a regular roller coaster, except the seats also just spin the entire time.
Oh my god!
Like it's like on a track, but the seats themselves, they're like 2 per thing, but they spin around as it goes along the track. And there's also like music pumping out of the speakers on the cart itself.
See, that was one of my reservations when I went to Disney World. I was considering going on the Rocking Roller Coaster, which is one of their rides. That's like one of their big roller coasters. It might actually be Disney's most popular, aside from Space Mountain, I guess. But yeah, so I was considering going on it. I had 2 reservations that stopped me from going on it. One was that they accelerate you from 0 to 60 in like, I don't remember what it was, but a very little amount of time. So much so that the ride is infamous for the neck strain that people come off of it with because there's not like adequate padding in the head area. And then the other one was that it's an Aerosmith themed ride, which means that you have to listen to Aerosmith through the whole ride.
Yeah.
So
this one was, I think they went, I'm not sure if there was a set track list on X2. I know when I went on it, they were playing Metallica.
Okay.
Which wasn't too bad. I'm okay with Metallica. But yeah, that 0 to 60 thing is kind of common among most roller coasters.
But
like,
most
I remember,
roller coasters would cushion your head.
That is true. Like Accelerator is really weird because it's actually a really short ride. But it just does this like 0 to 80 in 5 seconds up like a straight piece of rail. And then it just comes back down again. And it kind of does a little twist up there as well. But like,
yeah,
I love roller coasters.
Yeah,
like,
I really want to go on more.
They're really great. Yeah. And I'm happy that there are so many near me.
Yeah. How about you guys? Are you fellow thrill seekers?
I like roller coasters more than the water park rides. Only because the one time I went on a water park ride, like 10 years ago, it was on this really old one. It was a log ride, and as we were going up, I could feel myself, and going down, I could feel myself lifting out of the ride a little bit. So it was kind of terrifying. That's
the greatest feeling, though. Like speaking personally, anyway,
I couldn't deal with water parks because like feet, like not just foot fungus, but like having to see other people's feet. I would not.
I keep on forgetting you just like hate feet.
I really hate feet.
I'm the exact same way, Misty.
Thank
so
God.
I feel you. Don't worry.
But yeah, water parks are weird in general.
Yeah, I'm not into water parks.
There's a water park right across the street from Knott's Berry Farm. That's actually, I think it's owned by Knott's as well. It's called Soak City, which that's probably one of the worst names for a park that I've ever heard.
That is a god-awful name.
It sounds like a porno a little bit.
But yeah, that's just, water parks are weird. I almost drowned in a water park before.
Oh, jeez, man.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was in one of those wave pools where it's basically just a huge pool, and then at the back of it they just make huge waves. There's just a lot of people at the time. I think I was like 13 or something like that, but I got caught underneath the wave, and there are other people around me, and I couldn't get up, and yeah. I
would love for there to be like cool water slides that I could go on, but I saw one on Tumblr. I haven't seen any in real life. Although, I was looking into adult slip-and slides because I recently bought a slip-and slide because it was extremely hot out and I needed something to do. So I bought a slip-and slide, but they're, made for children. And so, first of all, the momentum that I could achieve as an adult was higher than what a child might experience. So I was like flying off the edge of the slip and slide.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, so I did get very covered in grass. And then it was okay for me lengthwise. It was, I think 16 feet was the one that I bought. I'm only 5'2", so I was going for a little while. But my boyfriend is 6 foot plus. So he slid a little bit and then stopped. So it wasn't very exciting. So we decided to look into adult size slip and slides. And apparently there is this group that goes around the country shutting down an entire street, like in New York City or something, and making a slip and slide on the entire street.
Oh my
that sounds
so
great.
I really want to do that. I have to figure out when they're in
That
town.
reminds me of this group that goes around Southern California where they just import snow. And so people are snowboarding in July in the middle of Los Angeles, which is the weirdest thing.
That's probably the richest thing that you can do.
That probably is. Either that or I can't really think of much, just to import snow into it reminded me of this thing. It was on the Travel Channel, I think, but there was a ski thing in in the middle of the Dubai or something like that, where you're inside and it's all snowy and you're skiing, and then you go outside, it's 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's just you have money.
How about you, Cal? What kind of rides do you like?
I'm sort of traumatized from roller coasters a little bit, even though, this didn't really happen on a roller coaster, but back in the day, I don't know what age this would have been, maybe when I was 5 or 6, but my dad took us to Marineland, which is I'd say it's better than SeaWorld because SeaWorld, it's other but Marineland treats their animals a bit better.
Everyone loves Marineland.
Exactly. And there's this ride, and it's called the Skyscraper, and you go up, and then it plunges you down. And I wasn't tall enough to go on this ride. Yeah, Al, I think you know this story. I wasn't tall enough to go onto the ride, but somehow my dad convinced the people there to let me through anyway. I don't know how, but that's what happened. And so I was, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. But we got seated and everything because they put you in these seats, but because I wasn't tall enough and because I was this little kid, the seat didn't hold me very well, and so what happened was, we went up and going up was fine, and I was just oh look, it's so pretty out there, but we weren't expecting to be down so suddenly, and so when we went down, I started falling out of my seat because I was this tiny 5-year-old, and my dad had to physically pull me back up to make sure I didn't fall down, and that's a story about how I almost died. And then after it was okay, well, don't tell your mother this, Kaylin. And to this day, my mother still doesn't know that story.
Does she listen to the podcast? Because she might.
Listening at the door. She's been listening to the door. She's just I will get you for this,
Mr. Calexon.
Exactly.
I will end you.
Yeah. It was so bad, and I think that kind of has put me off from going on rides ever since, but another thing is that we don't really go on to amusement parks or anything. I mean, I've been trying to get my friends to go because I want to hang out with them sometime this summer, and I think I talked about on the last podcast that I've been inside for lots of days. But yeah, my mom doesn't do amusement parks, so she hasn't really taken us. But
yeah.
Jeez. Like, the most traumatizing thing that ever happened to me was that I lost my glasses on a roller coaster.
Yeah, I went to Busch Gardens once as a child. I was pretty young at the time. I had to be like 6. Well, my parents were still together, so maybe more like 4 or 5. And my dad took me and my sister on this ride called the Big Bad Wolf. And the roller coaster itself I was fine with, but they showed this movie before the roller coaster because apparently roller coasters need to have like stories behind them. So they showed this movie before it of this wolf like rolling into town and like attacking people, and it scared. I was legitimately frightened by this video for a very long time. And that is, I don't know if anybody wrote it. I guess not. Busch Gardens isn't really a popular destination. But there was also a ride at Disney called, like, Alien Invasion or something, where an alien broke out and, like, flew around the room in the darkness and, like, leaked water on you. And a lot of children were terrified by it to the point where Disney had to remove it because it was so scary.
Yeah, I remember getting terrified of the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland because of... sort of similar like that. I mean, it's Indiana Jones, so there's a lot of like, I don't know, like tomb decor going on with it.
Oh, I was just wondering, like, which one is this? Is it California?
California, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that was my jam.
Yeah, I mean, I like it now, but when I was a kid, I was really afraid of it. And like, there's one part in it where there's supposed to be like the things in the wall like shooting darts at you, and so they just blast air at you. And it was really terrifying because it was in the dark, like complete pitch black, and there was supposed to be other, like bugs crawling around on the ceiling and walls and stuff like that. As a kid, that was really terrifying for me. And in fact, when I was a kid, the ride broke down during that exact spot, where me and I think I was with my dad, we're in the dark for about complete dark for like 5 to 10 minutes before they finally turned on the light. And like they got like people out there to get us out of the car.
Oh boy!
Yeah, those things are really tall. That ride, because like they had to bring like they had to like bring out a ladder for everybody to climb down.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's a big safety issue.
Yeah, I mean you normally don't get, because I mean how the ride is set up, like the things on the side are up to the level of the car anyway, so you can't tell it's really that tall.
Yeah.
But when you're not around that, then yeah, there's like a bunch of it underneath it that you don't really see.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other amusement parks to add, or should we finish this sucker off because we're about at an hour now? No. Okay. So that concludes our questions and our topic for the day. So I do want to mention that for our community news and project section, that our next episode will be episode number 100 of the KH-Vids podcast. We don't have any concrete plans made yet, but what I really want to do, and what I've wanted to do for a while, is try to get both Sabby and Ross to be our podcast guests, who were the previous hosts of the KH-Vids podcast before we took over. I think that would be really fun. So if there are questions that you want us to talk about with them, I feel like we could do a whole, like, how has the KH-Vids podcast changed since you were on it? Like, did you ever dream it could be this wonderful? Like, that kind of thing. And talk about that. So if you have any like interesting like KHV or KHV podcast related questions, please let us know them for episode number 100. I feel like that would be a nice little retrospective to do. Even if we can't get them on the podcast, I think we can do a nice retrospective with us alone. Yeah. Any other community news to bring up, you guys?
I just have the game of the month for August going on. There's actually quite a bit coming out in August, which I'm kind of excited. They're nothing like huge, but a lot of little indie games coming out that I'm really excited for. Let me look at the results real quick.
I was gonna say, what's coming up?
So on my little list, I have Volume, which is a indie game by the guy who made Thomas Was Alone. Until Dawn is coming out as well, which is that like B horror movie game for the PS4 that's coming out. Steins Gate is,
yes! Use Steins Gate!
Is finally getting a localization in America, because that game's been out in Japan for like 3-4 years at this point or something like that.
I love Steins Gate.
Let's see, the Rare Replay, which is just that collection of Rare games coming out for the Xbox One. Everybody's gone to the Rapture, which is something that I've really been looking forward to, and I'm excited for it. I haven't really followed too much on it because I kind of wanted to go in fresh, because it's one of those games where it has a lot to do with the exploration and kind of just seeing what happened in it. The other game that I'm also really excited for, and I've been waiting for a long time for this to come out, is Galaxy the Dimensional, which is this really, really great like space shooter / like rogue-like thing that has this really great like 80s animation style to it, which is just it looks great and it looks really fun, and I've been kind of following this game for about almost 2 years now, and I'm kind of glad that that's finally getting released. But yeah, there's of course other stuff coming out that month, but those are kind of the biggest stuff, I think. Which is great after kind of July being kind of piss poor.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else to bring up? Alex, do you want to plug the user awards?
User award polls for Cycle 1 are going up pretty soon.
Yay! We've plugged the user awards a few times on the podcast already, but basically we just like giving awards to each other. It's like the KH-V version of senior superlatives, basically.
It's yeah,
you know, talking for a living. I don't do this for a living.
Yet.
Yet. Oh, if only. But yeah, so that is our episode. So to participate in the KH-Vids podcast, you can submit a question to the KH-Vids podcast by filling out the form linked to every episode of the podcast, or sending an email to podcast@KH-Vids.net. You can submit to be a member guest on the KH-Vids podcast by filling out the form linked to every episode of the podcast. All you need is a Skype account, a microphone, and headphones, and we would love to have you. You can submit a topic to the KH-Vids podcast, and we really need them, so please do send them in by filling out the form linked in the sticky in the podcast section. Tell us what you want to hear us talk about, suggest a spoiler cast for us, anything like that. And of course, you can just leave us a comment on every podcast thread telling us what you think about the episode and answering our user submitted questions. So that about concludes episode number 99 of the KH-Vids podcast. Thank you all for listening, and have a Kingdom Hearts day.